Hey guys, just a quick little prologue. I just realized I had a typo in all of my intro blurbs for this entire series thus far. It is not a purist's guide to character building. Apologies on amateur hour. Egg all over my face. See you guys in a bit. Hey everybody, Phil/Polygoing here. Welcome to part 5 of a purist's guide to character building. And the witch is dead. Ding dong. In the last one we killed Quelaag. We're still down in Blighttown. We're going to make our escape here, bust out of here, pick up some goodies along the way. And then I was thinking we would head straight to Sens and proceed through to Londo. But you know, one of the things about playing a Faith character, it's pretty difficult early on to come by some truly useful miracles. And by useful, I mean offensive miracles, pretty much. So instead of heading straight for Londo via Sens, I'm going to go down to the Catacombs. I'm going to bust through there, leave a trail of bones in my wake, and proceed to the Tomb of Giants to rescue Rhea so I can get access to some big boy miracles. Or I guess some big girl miracles in the case of our Faith Spear here, being a woman. Here we go, part 5. So this should be a pretty solid, fairly efficient chain of events. We will get out of Blighttown. We've rung both bells, so Frampt will have popped up, and we can feed him a couple of chunks that we're hanging on to for some green Titanite shards, and then get a little bit further along with the Divine Path on our Partisan. Right now it is just the base level. So we can upgrade that a little bit, do a little bit more damage. But before doing so, gotta grab that Firekeeper soul. I hate this part of Blighttown. This is kind of like Upper Blighttown for me. It's a drag. Here I'm just kind of goofing around with Force. I wanted to see if Force had some sort of special effect on these flying mosquito type things, because they're light, they're knocked around pretty easily, and they're really weak. I was just curious if Force would really send them flying through the air or something like that, just to kind of see if there was some special effect. There is not. It just staggers them like everything else. So we gotta take out these toxic bloat-out guys. We'll get the Firekeeper soul. Don't really need any of the other items on the way out. Don't really have an interest in the Crimson set. Don't really have an interest in whatever sorcery is over there. Remedy, maybe? That would be handy for the toxic that builds up from these guys, but no use for it on this character. We're all about miracles. We're all about spears, and I guess we're all about purple hair. But that's the extent that we're interested in with this particular character. So this is a drag. These guys toxify you one hit, apparently. My cleric stuff does not. I don't know what happened there. I got bounced off of something. But my cleric robes do not apparently have the greatest toxic defense, if any toxic defense whatsoever. So they got me. So now, usually when I get toxified here, I just try and not quite suicide run, but be fairly reckless to try and kill as many of these blow-dart guys as possible. So that way if I die, they don't respawn, they're not back, and I can have a nice leisurely stroll to the Firekeeper soul. One technique I should point out that I've tried a couple times and just didn't employ here, because I don't think I picked up any dung pies on the way, is to toxify yourself with dung pies. Because the toxic drain that you get from doing it to yourself with the dung pies is significantly less than the drain from the toxic that these guys will infect you with. It's a weaker toxic, I guess. And these guys probably have the most potent toxic in the game, man. It drains your shit really fast. And it is pretty easy to not pay attention to what's going on and just keel over when you look up and say, oh man, I wasn't paying attention. My life bar is at, well, too late. And then you get a big red, you died. So, I'm going to take out these dogs, grab the Firekeeper soul, and then we'll be on our merry way. And then I will stop saying toxic so much. I think I said it, I'm going to guess 9 times over the course of those last couple of minutes. I'll go back and count afterwards. There's the soul that we're after. These dogs are not that big a deal. I should give props to my spider shield too. That is not something I usually employ. I just happened to pick it up when I was down there goofing around with the giant rat in the depths. Picked up the spider shield, and I was sort of just thinking to myself, I usually hate this part. Let's try it with the spider shield, because that's got great toxic, oh, there's another one, and poison resistance. I didn't realize it had 100% poison and toxic. Another one, resistance. So, man, if you've got that thing on you, just tank. Run through there with that up, and those blow dart guys are pretty impotent against you. That's kind of neat. I'm going to use that in future playthroughs. Then 100% resistance. I wonder if that says something about the life of a bandit. You know, bandits start out with that thing. Maybe they're always trying to poison each other, toxify each other. Maybe that's how they pick a new leader of the bandit tribes, whatever these bandits belong to. I don't know. I'm just speculating. I'm just trying to kill time, because from here on out for a little bit, it's a fairly uneventful exodus from Blighttown, but I wanted to leave it in just to kind of play through it and run through it. So as mentioned, the plan was to go back to Firelink Shrine. We're going to rest. We're going to level if we can, maybe here or there, and then feed some chunks, red titanite chunks that we picked up in the Undead Asylum. Whoops. It could have been disastrous. Feed some of those chunks to Framp to get some green shards and upgrade our partisan. Also, I think for the first time ever, I answered no to Framp's question when he pops up and he says, you know, chosen undead, do you seek such enlightenment? And he's going to tell you the whole spiel. And I was like, no, I don't. And I was curious if that would just end the game. I was just kind of wondering what that would do. Didn't do anything. He just keeps on sitting there, toothy serpent. And if you talk to him again, he says, have you had a change of heart? Just like a lot of the NPCs. A lot of the story-advancing NPCs in the game will do that. If you talk to him and answer the question in the wrong way, and you talk to him again, they say, have you changed your mind? So I don't think there's any place in the game where talking to somebody, where a dialogue can end your game, where a dialogue will get you stuck. So that's nice, I guess. You can be willy-nilly with the way that you answer these things. Most of the NPCs will give you a chance to change your mind. You know who won't, though? Is Engi, when you get into, when you're going to meet the fair lady and rest at the bonfire there and join the Chaos Servants or whatever it is. If you answer no initially to his question in terms of, what is it, are you a new servant or something like that, and then he goes through the whole where are your eggs dialogue. If you answer no to the where are you a new servant question, he will not give you a chance to reconsider. You have to kill him at that point in order to get by and access that bonfire. So you potentially lose out on the couple pyromancies that he would give you. You lose out on the ability to purchase egg vermifuges if you get any egg heads. So that's the only place I can think of an NPC not giving you a second chance, not giving you a chance to sort of say, well, I changed my mind, and let's just ignore that last exchange that we had, and we'll say yes. Are there any other ones? If there are, let me know. I'd be curious about that. Maybe I'm going to do one of these runs these days, going through and answering all the questions the wrong way, just to kind of see the ramifications that might have. So I'm not looking forward to the Catacombs. It is not a favorite area of mine. But what I am kind of thrilled about is going down with my divine weapon to the Catacombs, because we'll be able to kill the skeletons that hop around and harass you down there outright without having to fuck with the necromancers. Usually you have to hunt down those necromancers, kill them, otherwise the skeletons just keep respawning. I usually tackle the Catacombs later, just because it's not one of my fondest areas. I usually after Anor Londo, hoping to God I will pick up a Silver Knight Spear, because the Silver Knight Spear, even though it doesn't do split damage, doesn't do magic damage, has a divine component to it, so you can kill the skeletons outright. I guess I just need a little break there, log out, log back in. I will say too, I just fed that Firekeeper soul from Blighttown to Anastasia. We kicked Lautrec off the ledge a little bit ago, maybe in episode 2 or episode 3. And picking up that Firekeeper soul in Blighttown is what actually triggers his killing of Anastasia, I believe. I've never tested this personally. Oh, here's where we're going to say no. And then he just tries to give you a guilt trip. Nothing really eventful happens. But I believe that is what triggers Lautrec killing Anastasia. So even if you freed Lautrec, and he's sitting there just kind of eyeballing the poor little Firekeeper in her cage with her tongueless mouth, if you go down into Blighttown, having picked up no other Firekeeper souls and grab the one there, when you come back, it'll just be the dingy set with the died or dead message on that kind of thing, which is a hilarious, probably missed translation. But yeah, that is interesting. I need to test that personally one of these days. If you guys are certain of that, let me know. But so we just fed our 2 chunks from those Black Knights in the Undead Asylum to Frampt. We can kind of upgrade our weapon. And actually, at this point, I had decided I wasn't yet going to the Catacombs. So I was going to try and just run through, talk to these guys so it triggers their traveling, their departure, and then go down to Andre, rest at that bonfire, and upgrade my stuff. And I get as far as that bonfire and then say, you know what? let's go to the Catacombs instead. So this is just a run back to the undead parish. I'm going to edit it out here and then jump back in a second because I changed my mind. Oh, and you know what? I totally lied. I am actually not running to the undead parish at this point. I am heading back to trade my pyromancy glove with Snuggly because I didn't pick up any green titanite shards from the leeches down in Blighttown, and I want to be able to get my partisan to +5 on the divine path. So I've got 6 shards right now. I'm going to go trade my glove for another chunk, a red titanite chunk, and then I'll feed that to Framp and pick up the remaining 3. Only problem was I forgot to talk to Laurentius. So I edited that whole part out. So now I'm just sort of mysteriously back and there's no enemies here, all that kind of thing. So I went and talked to Laurentius, got the pyro glove. It only works if you trade it to Snuggly when it's unupgraded, so it has to be fresh. Keep in mind too that be damn certain you don't want to use pyro later on in the game. You can pick up another pyro glove from Engi, the egg servant we were just talking about, but there's a minimum intelligence requirement. I've never gotten it that way, so I'm not sure exactly what it is. I should have looked it up before bringing it up. So you can get another one, but otherwise, unless you want to sink points into intelligence in order to get that glove, just make sure you don't want to use any pyro. Have committed to no pyro before you trade your glove. Otherwise, just pick up the chunk. It's fine. That's what we did. So I'm going to pick up my last remaining shards, and then I make the run back to the Undead Parish to upgrade my stuff. I gotta apologize. I just realized I'm not in human form anymore. I'm trying to remember back playing through this. I might have died when I went back to the Undead Asylum. Like the time I went back without the Pyro Glove. I think I got caught by one of those fire torch Dregling charging attacks type things. I do also remember having a lot of video problems, so some of these clips might not be as thorough as they could. I do apologize for that. I'm a little foggy on it, but I'm just kind of running around and doing some maintenance stuff on my equipment anyway. There we go. That's where I went back to the Undead Parish and then thought, nah, I'm going to go back to the Catacombs and do that first, get some miracles. So apparently I changed my clothes. I was like, this cleric robes just looks too terrible, too raggedy for my beautiful purple hair and disgusting hollowed out face. So I changed my clothes. I'm rocking the thief set, it looks like at this point, the black leather stuff. And we're going down into the Catacombs. So, the Catacombs. I do remember there are very efficient ways you can go through this. You can just sort of bolt through this. There's a lot of shortcuts you can take by jumping off of ledges and things like that. I didn't do that because I wanted to kill a couple of the necromancers, hoping to get a skull lantern. We did not pass through Lost Izalith. We did not go past Quelaag's domain in order to get a sunlight maggot or anything like that. And I don't have any spells on me that would give me a source of light. So I am desperately hoping that killing a couple of these necromancers will drop me a skull lantern before I get to the Tomb of the Giants, because Tomb of the Giants I am not familiar with at all. It is probably my least traversed area of the game. One of the things I'm looking forward to with this character is farming white titanite chunks, because it's going to force me to get to know that area. It's kind of like New Londo. I used to hate New Londo and just be scared to death of it, man. That is a creepy damn place. But, you know, it's the greatest place in Lordran to farm titanite chunks and pick up the occasional titanite slab as well. So having to upgrade weapon and having to go down there and farm those dark wraiths totally pulled the veil of mystery off of New Londo. And now it's just kind of like, meh, it's just another place in the game. I apparently died here too. I don't know what's going on with the clip. Sorry about that. But getting more familiar with it now, it's just sort of, yeah, I can go down into New Londo at any time. I'm familiar with it. I know it. And I'm hoping this experience brings me that same bit of comfort with the Tomb of the Giants. Just doing it repetitively over and over and over again. And just kind of getting familiar with it. But we are not in the Tomb of the Giants yet. We are in the Catacombs. So let's talk about the Catacombs. Man, I remember just being, like New Londo, being scared to death of this place on the first couple of playthroughs, just being unfamiliar with it, because it is a big area, and being unfamiliar with sort of its tricks, like killing the necromancers in order to perma-slay these skeletons. Man, it was a rough go of it the first time and the second time, probably the third time after that as well. And that's when you start to get a little bit more comfortable with it. But I mean, it's a huge area. There are a lot of places where you can just randomly die. You got Patches being a dick over there trying to turn the bridge over on you from time to time. And I mean, it's really rough for a new player to come through here. It's fairly rough for a decently seasoned player to come through here. And a lot of it looks very similar too. So I find it pretty easily to get turned around and lost in and all that kind of thing. It's not a favorite of mine. I'll say that for the third or fourth time this video. You know, and it almost seems like the developers knew that. I'm apparently having range problems with my partisan there. But it seems like the developers were kind of aware of that fact. They make you slog through this huge area, lots of back and forth, lots of traps, lots of places to fall off, probably lots of getting lost. And at the end of it, as if to say, I'm sorry we put you through that, the final boss is Pinwheel. My god, man. Pinwheel is weaker than a lot of the just random enemies you encounter in levels. I would say that a lot of the Black Knights you come across are significantly harder than Pinwheel. That first Black Knight in the Undead Burg that you take on to get the blue Tearstone ring. If you go down there and fight him with your current equipment, he is significantly fucking harder than Pinwheel. My approach to taking on Pinwheel, which I think is a lot of people's approach to taking on Pinwheel, is 1. Run up to him, and 2. Press R1. 3. Repeat step 2. So it's just R1 over and over and over again. And if he flies away, if he teleports away, you run up to him, and you R1, R1, R1 all day long. Because you can stagger him, so he can't shoot his fireballs at you. He's got really low health. He is just a joke of a boss. And I think that's kind of the developers saying, yeah, Catacombs is a little bit tricky on your first couple of playthroughs. So if you made it this far, we're not going to be asses about it and just throw this difficult boss on you. Unlike Anor Londo, which is an equally long back and forth slog. But at the end of it, you got nothing to face except for Ornstein and Smo. Take a statue, really? At the end of it, you got Ornstein and Smo waiting for you, which is probably one of the most challenging boss fights in the game, especially the early phases of it when there's the two of them. Catacombs, that was not the case. I think I got pretty lucky there that Necromancer did not decide to follow up with another blast. That would have taken me out for certain as I was trying to deal with those two skeletons on the bridge. And actually, on that note, watching this play back, you do not have to, for the sake of redundancy and repeating myself and being redundant while repeating myself, you do not have to mess with all of these guys. There are some absolutely fantastic jumps you can make as shortcuts in the Catacombs. I'll try to point some of those out as I pass them by and tell you why I'm passing them by. And then also, I seem to be doing just a fantastically shitty job of making a competent run through the Catacombs. Watching this playback, I kind of remember having such a rough time of this. So I do apologize. I think there are some choppy waters ahead. But up here, this is where Patches normally is hanging out. I don't know what I didn't do to make him not appear. I'll have to research that a little bit. But pushing that in rotates the bridge. And if Patches is up there, he will just kind of hang out. He'll just kind of lurk and wait for you to try and cross the bridge that lever controls, and then pull it out on you, trying to dump you into the chasm below. Just classic Patches. And then afterwards, when you go talk to him, he's sort of like, "Oh, I'm sorry, did that cause you trouble?" You're like, "Yeah, man, it kind of did. You dumped me into the abyss below." Not the abyss proper, but just the space below. And I think he gives you a humanity or something as in, "I'm sorry, let's be friends again." Oh, trusty Patches. So there's a great shortcut right there. There was a ledge down to the bottom right where if you drop down there, you can pick up the Great Scythe, which many people herald as the best dex weapon. I think that's primarily because of a video that Epic put out. Sorry, Epic name, bro. Marcus, I guess. He prefers to be called Marcus. I saw that on a video. I don't know the guy. It's not like he was like, "Hey, dude, I prefer to be called Marcus." I just saw that on a video. But he put something out where he was kind of chronicling damage across dex weapons in terms of determining what he thought was the best one. The Great Scythe came out on top, and suddenly everybody and their dogs started rocking Great Scythes. It's a fantastic weapon, don't get me wrong. It dead angles like a beast and is just pretty quick on the draw and has good range, and it's a great weapon. It's everywhere. I'm actually making my way right now to go pick up the Dark Moon Seance ring, because I think I was talking about earlier or on an earlier video that I'm I'm not quite sure what covenant I want to jump up with. I'm definitely going to spend some time with the Warriors of Sunlight to get my Lightning Spear and Great Lightning Spear. Do a little co-op to earn that with some Sunlight medals. Afterwards, I might be a Dark Moon. I think I might join up with the Dark Moon Blades. That was weird. He was there and didn't actually fall through the ceiling. Usually that big skeleton falls through the ceiling. And he was just kind of waiting for me, and when I passed where he would normally fall through, the ceiling broke, but he wasn't there. So anyways, the Dark Moon Seance Ring, which I just picked up, will allow me in Anor Londo to join up with the Dark Moon Blades. That might be pretty slick. I might play around with them. I have not been a Dark Moon Blade on the PS3. I have on the PC with mixed results. We'll see how it differs on the PC. But also down that way, you can... Jumping back to where I was talking about the Great Scythe. That was a lucky little block there. Not there. Where you pick up the Great Scythe, you can drop down and fight a Black Knight here in the Catacombs, which has a 100% drop rate for white Titanite chunks. I'm going to double back and do that because I want those chunks. One of the things that I'm going to do after taking out Pinwheel is proceed on to the Tomb of the Giants to rescue Rhea, like I was talking about, for some offensive miracles, namely Wrath of the Gods. But I'm also going to make a run for the large Divine Ember, which will let me take my Partisan up to +10 and kind of max that out. So I need all the white chunks I can get. I'm currently lost right here. And then I've got one more thing to say about that area with the Great Scythe. I'm trying to remember where Tranquil Walk of Peace is. I know it's in here somewhere, and I think I end up just passing it by. If I had only taken this ladder, that I'll pass by in just a second and instead drop down a little jump. Ah, well, I'll have to come back for it. But the other thing you can do in that Great Scythe area is proceed on to unlock Vamos, the blacksmith. He's the blacksmith that upgrades via the fire path, via the chaos path. This character doesn't have any need for the Great Scythe. This character doesn't have any need for fire weapons. We fed all of our chunks to Frampt. So I did not bother doing either of those things. Right here is your Tranquil Walk of Peace. Up here on the right, there's a ladder that I just no, not there. Sorry, maybe up this staircase, or up this ramp, there's a ladder that I just completely overlook and then drop down and miss out on the most infamous of miracles. Nah, maybe Wrath of the Gods is the most infamous, but Tranquil Walk of Peace is right there with it. There is also a shortcut out here where you can drop down to the area where you summon Paladin Leroy. Kind of a shortcut to the boss. It drops you just above the area with all those bone wheel skeletons, kind of that nightmarish meat grinder area with all those guys spinning at you in their spiked shields. And actually, I think I might die here. Does this guy get me? No, I got away. There is one more death coming up. I can't remember exactly where, but keep your eyes peeled on my not-so-shining run through the Catacombs. But, yeah, so right over here there's a shortcut. You can drop down, summon Leroy to take on Pinwheel. And it's just kind of another little shortcut through the Catacombs, just another way to sort of blaze through it. And if you drop down the hole I was talking about by the Great Scythe, you'll end up at the end of this little walkway right here, and then you can drop down, summon Leroy, all that kind of thing. And I'm talking a lot about this stuff in obscurities because I'm not actually doing it. So I think what I might do is make an appendix video that sort of demonstrates a lot of these shortcuts through the Catacombs. Like I said, again, was just being thorough, hoping for a skull lantern, and just kind of trying to gather up some gear that are relevant to my faith build. But I think it might be helpful as part of this series to point out some of those shortcuts, because the Catacombs, man, to this day, I still find them pretty nightmarish. I still hate playing through these, and I'll try and keep it positive. I will try and stop complaining about how much I hate the Catacombs and say, instead, it's a challenging area that rewards the player with some fantastically helpful items. Here's my white Titanite chunk coming up. Oh, wow. Maybe not. Maybe this is my death. Let me just watch this for a second because I don't remember. Fucking really? The Black Knight kills me too? Hot damn. Alright, well, there was my other death. What a shame. I do not remember dying to the Black Knight at all. Well played, sir. Well played. Actually, that was not well played at all. That was badly played on my part. But watch out for the Black Knight. And watch out for these statues, too, because I seem to remember getting popped by them a lot. And just kind of forgetting that they were... Which... Oh, my heavens. I'm so sorry, guys. I am not at my best here. I must have been hiccuping bubbles this night. Here's the Great Scythe shortcut. So you can come down here, grab the Great Scythe. I did it anyways. If you go down that way, is where you can access Vamos towards the end of it. And then right here is where you can fall through the floor to take the shortcut back to that Black Knight area. Bypasses a lot of the level, and the Catacombs is just rife with that stuff. Just weird little rock outcroppings that if you know where they are, you can drop down onto them, and then bypass a lot of these skeletons that will just try and gang mob you at every opportunity. Okay, so let me change the subject for just a second and talk about PvP. Hopefully it'll distract you from my lousy playing. Because I think it's appropriate to talk about PvP in this video, because the outcome of this character building series is to have a viable PvP character. The Catacombs, as much as I hate it, is an uproarious place to invade or get invaded. It is just so nerve-wracking, because it's a fairly, so as a host, it's nerve-wracking, because it's a fairly dangerous place to begin with. Those skeletons can just pile up on you like nothing if you just run by them, or if you haven't killed the necromancers and they respawn. And so to be dealing with them, and then to be dealing with a black or red phantom darting in and out, trying to slay you as well, oh my god, it adds so much stress and so much adrenaline, and is one of the, what I think one of the best places to get invaded. Maybe this in Sen's Fortress, the Catacombs in Sen's Fortress. As an invader, it's pretty cool because there are a lot of places to negate ganks. If you come across a host that has, you know, another phantom or maybe two other phantoms with them, there's a lot of really narrow walkways that you can fight on in order to minimize the fact that you'll get surrounded and just gang probed by these guys. Like a lot of those bridges, a lot of the really narrow staircases that just sort of hug the walls, those spiral staircases. So there's our white titanite chunk. So it's a great place to be on either sides of an invasion. It's also a great place to troll. I will admit I do not troll. Not that there's anything wrong with it. I just don't find it that much fun. But I've been trolled in the Catacombs a lot. And it is the worst feeling in the world. Such a look skyward moment when you are running across one of those narrow bridges and you're out in the middle of it and you feel it start to turn and you realize there is nothing you can do except bite your bottom lip and fall and hopefully pivot your camera a little bit to catch a glimpse of the invader, because he is almost certainly flashing you some sort of ridiculous gesture. Here's that bone wheel area. Usually coming down off that ledge, that causes me a lot of dread, because these guys are all just down there, like I said, as a meat grinder, kind of spinning. To fall into them is almost certain death. So I usually wait for a couple of them to break off, and then I will try and drop down and do a plunging attack. That failed on this one, par for the course for the rest of the way that I'm playing. If not, you can kind of run off to this area to the left, because those skulls will explode, and they seem to hit these guys a lot harder than they hit you. So that'll take out a lot of them as well. Otherwise, you can just jump off almost immediately before they notice you up there and start spinning, and move off to like a safe corner or something like that and just kind of deal with them the normal way. Just wait for them to pass by and then give them some thrusts. Okay. Here's something else to point out too, because consistently, when I come down this path right here, which is where you come out after you unlock Vamos, a lot of the times the bone wheels will chase me down here and then just disappear into that wall. Just see that? He just kind of clipped through the wall and fell off through the level. And that seems to happen very consistently. So one strategy I often take is to just let him see me, run back in there, hope I can withstand the barrage with my shield, and then they will just always clip through that wall. It is the weirdest thing. I don't know. Anyways, we cleared this area. We're now heading for Pinwheel, the great triumph that is the boss of the Catacombs. And you know what's kind of cool about Pinwheel? I actually didn't realize this until I saw a VatiVidya lore video on Pinwheel, where the father, the mother, and the child are all kind of piggybacked on each other underneath that cloak that he's wearing. I think that was from an image in the Dark Souls Collector's Edition sketchbook, and then I just happened to catch it on the video. I don't own the Collector's Edition. But that's kind of cool. And Pinwheel, you know, for all of his chumpitude, is kind of an interesting guy in terms of lore, at least from the stuff that I've seen on him. He just, I don't know, he's a joke. He's an absolute joke. Here, we'll take him on. Let's see if our strategy of run up and hit him works. Seems to so far. Get out of the way of a fireball. We just staggered him. We didn't stagger him as quickly as I thought with my partisan. That one hit me and didn't even hit me for that much. So, I mean, this guy poses no danger at all. Give him a couple of thrusts, one more. And there we go. That's the end of Pinwheel. You can actually let Leroy solo this guy. He will always drop you a mask, a family mask, and he'll always give you the right of kindling for beating him. The masks I gotta talk about for a second. You know, I just cannot get over the vanity element and wear one of these things. For as functional as they might be, they look so ridiculous. Look at me in my Mask of the Mutter. What a chump. You know, that is where my fashion soul's sense kicks in. I can't do it. Hollow Soldier waistcloth is stretching it. Family masks, too much. So that's it for the Catacombs. I will go back and potentially post an appendix with some of those shortcuts. Let's see how we fare in Tomb of the Giants. Follow the little shrine, see how well I know it. Ah, well done. What a fitting end. I'm out on this one. That Catacombs run was rough. I will see you guys soon. Give me a sub if you like it. Thumbs up, thumbs down, feedback, comments, very welcome. And I will see you next time. Bye.